Hello folks, how you doing? It's been a long time since I did a video, and so I thought I'd just jump on and do one, just like that. Anyways, Millbrook First Nation had a community hunt, and they got some deer meat with the town of Truro, and let me see who else. We have Millbrook Consulting Department, Millbrook Hunters, Farmland Outfitters, Giskig Ridge, which is Chef Ray Bear, and the town of Truro all got together, and they did a deer call here in Truro and Millbrook, and with that deer meat, they gave it back to the community. So they teamed up with Chef Ray Bear, and they made these little things, and it's called Gui Fresh. So like Hello Fresh. I just love it. Anyways, I went and picked one up yesterday, and what I got was deer stew and sweet potato dumplings. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to cook it today. Everything you needed, I don't know if it's backwards in there or not, or it comes out right. Everything, all the ingredients that you need, they provide it for community members who signed up for it. It says prep time 3.5 hours, cook time's about 2 hours, and it serves about 6. So this is perfect for me and my family. The only thing that I'm going to switch out is for this recipe, we use flour. We do use flour. It's not on the ingredients list. Ooh. Anyways, we use flour. My son is celiac, so I don't use flour as in all-purpose flour in our home. I use a gluten-free mix, but it's an amazing mix. So that's the only substitute that I'm going to do. So I just wanted to invite you to come along with me, and let's see how this works out. Okay, so when I read my directions, like I said, this is one side, gives you all the ingredients list, a beautiful picture. On the other side, it gives you step-by-step, just like HelloFresh does, the ones that you order. So, number 1, it says prep. We're going to chop up your veggies and herbs in advance. Be sure to separate sweet potato into 2 equal portions, one for the stew and the other one for the dumplings. So, my vegetables that I have in this, when I go down my ingredients list here, it says onions, 3 onions chopped. So I got my 3 onions here. I'm going to have to chop those up. The next thing is 4 garlic cloves. The next is 1.5 cups of celery, 1.5 cups of carrots, 1 cup of potatoes, 3 cups of sweet potatoes. What do I have here for herbs and spices? I have garlic, parsley, rosemary, and sage. Okay, so I'm going to chop that up right now. So in the meantime, I just want to let you know that even though Millbrook had supplied us with all the food that we need to be able to cook this dish, I've decided to use up some of the stuff that's in my fridge that I already have. So use the oldest produce first. So I already had my own celery. So the new celery is in the fridge, but I've decided to use up the old one. The same thing, my mom had brought me some sweet potato. I still have Millbrook sweet potato there, but I thought this is older. I want to use this up first. So if my stuff does not look like the same product that you got from the bag, I just want to let you know that that's what I'm doing. I'm using the old stuff first. So, I only need, it says 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped sage, but I have this whole package. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick out the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to keep the good. I'm going to get rid of the bad. But I'm also, whatever I have left, in the meantime, I'm going to pick it apart, put it on a plate, like this here. A plate. So what I would do is I would pick off all the leaves because that's just the way I am, and I'm going to put them on the plate, and I'm going to put this plate actually in my oven. So eventually I have to put the deer stew, I let it simmer on the stove for about 2 to 3 hours, but at the end when I make the dumplings I have to put it into the oven. So in the time being, I'm going to actually take all the extra sage I have, put it on this plate. I have one of those Corelle plates. That's what I have at home. And I'm going to set my oven. My oven, the lowest will go, I think, is 150. So I'm going to turn it just so that the light comes on, and I'm going to put this plate in, and I'm going to dry my sage as I'm waiting. I'll also add any extra rosemary that I have, and then I do this in the summertime. I grow my own herbs, and then I dehydrate them. I have a dehydrator, but I'm not going to pull that out right now. I'm just going to do it in the oven. So it's, even if you don't have the tools as in the equipment, the dehydrator, to be able to do this, I want to show you how you can do it in your own oven. So when it comes to the rosemary, I have some big, almost like pieces of tree topper. I'm just going to put that whole thing in. You can break off these side branches if you want into smaller things, but I keep them like this in case I use them in the future and I just want to put one in with a roast, with a pork roast. I would put the whole sprig in. So if I dry it all on the thing, all on the branch, then that's okay. I'm going to put it in like this. I can put that whole sprig in with my roast. So I washed off my parsley, and I can do the same thing with parsley. I might have to get a bigger plate, or even just put 2 plates in. But I took the ones that more on a stem. So I'm going to put those aside. I'm going to put those on the plate or a new plate, and I'm also going to put those into the oven to dry. So I have everything chopped up. Just want to let you know my kitchen smells amazing with the sage and the rosemary and the onions and the celery and the garlic and everything. Anyways, veggies are all chopped up. Peeled the potatoes. Question I have, anytime that I've come across a recipe or a video, or if anybody's told me how to make a vegetable stock, they've never said to put the potato peelings in. I don't know why. If you know why, tell me in the comments so that I will now know, because all these little things always get me thinking, and I'm like, what? Why not? Anyways, it's a vegetable. Why wouldn't I put those skins in? I put carrots peelings in. So here we go. There's the list of vegetables. It says, chop your vegetables and herbs in advance. So we have onions, celery, carrots. I got to finish chopping the potatoes. I have parsley already. I got to do the sweet potatoes too. I have celery. Garlic is here, sage is here, and rosemary's here. I'm going to throw these ones into the oven, and I'm going to chop up my potatoes, peel my sweet potato. Okay, so I got everything chopped up. I split my sweet potatoes, one's for the stew, and I'm assuming I'm going to have to cook some up for the dumplings. Okay, the next step, it says preheat oven to 350. Make sure to use a pot vessel that can be fit into the oven. I'm not going to do that just yet, just because I've read a little bit further into the recipe and the directions. And in step 3, it says to add the veggies, and then it says add the rest of the ingredients to the pot, including the water. Let simmer on low heat for 2 to 3 hours. So I'm not going to preheat my oven now, because if I have to simmer for 2 to 3 hours, I'm not going to keep my oven on the whole time. Mind you, in the meantime, I will put these in at 150, and we'll see how far we can get those done. So I ended up spreading out. I have sage, rosemary here, and then on the other plate I did parsley and a little bit more of rosemary sprigs. So I'm gonna put them in my oven, and yes, my cast iron frying pans are still in there. So is my cooking sheet, but I'm not turning this up that much. I'm just gonna put that right on top there. I'm not gonna turn it up that much. Just until pretty much till my light comes on. Yeah. So a little bit less than 150. So yeah, I'm gonna let that heat up, and then I'm gonna follow the directions, get you situated here, and read you off we gotta get rid of this light, my next step. So Number 2, cook the meat. In a bowl, mix flour, salt, pepper with the cubed meat. Be sure to coat meat as well. So I'm going to set all my vegetables aside, and then I'm going to get another cutting board, and I'm going to cut up the deer meat. So Millbrook has given me stew meat already cut up into chunks, but they said they didn't have as much stew meat as they wanted to give for this recipe, that they gave me 2 steaks to go with it. So 2 little steaks, I'm going to cut those up into chunks. But I also got out my bowl here, and I already put in a 1/2 cup of flour, and I put in, I think, 2 tablespoons of pepper and 1.5, I think. And where is it at? I think it's 1.5 tablespoons of salt. Okay, so as I cut that up, and this is really, really lean. So I'll be honest with you, I am very picky when it comes to my meat. I do not like fat or gristle. And this here looks amazing. It really does. I get fat or gristle in my meat, I'm just like pretty much gagging. So I do not like it whatsoever. I know, they always say fat is what gives the flavor, but I think we're going to have so many other herbs and spices and things like that in this. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to have lots of flavor. One thing too, I know people are going to be like, oh, I don't like wild game because I don't like the wild taste. I find myself, I don't have to, I'll put this in here while I'm waiting. I don't have to marinate it, or I don't find that I, put vinegar in it overnight or anything like that. So what I do is, if I'm cooking it low and slow, then I find the wild taste is not there. So the next step is to fry up our meat. So in that little video, I tossed the meat. I did have to go into the stewed meat, and some of the pieces in the meat that Millbrook had cut up for me was a little bit, to me, too big of a chunk for me. So I did go in and cut them up into smaller pieces. So we put in, it calls for, I think, 1.5 cups of olive oil. Whoops. 1.5 cups of olive oil. And, oh, by the way, I put my sweet potatoes on to cook because I believe in the dumplings we need mashed sweet potato. So I put my olive oil in here. It says 1.5 cups. I don't know. I don't think I used that much. I found maybe that'd be a little bit too much. I'm not sure. As I wait for that to heat up a little bit, and then I'm going to add them and add the pieces in and brown them up. So I double checked the recipe, and it called for 2 tablespoons of salt. And I think I only put 1 in, so I'm just going to sprinkle some more salt on top of my bowl here. And again, mix that around. Okay, so the next step, after I mix my meat with the flour, salt, and pepper, and cubed meat will be coated, and coat the meat well. Place a large pot on medium-high heat, add oil. Let it sizzle for a minute, then carefully add the meat and remaining flour. So I have it on medium-high heat. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I let it warm up. The way I find out if it's sizzling or not, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I just kind of take a drop of water off the faucet and I flick it in. Sounds like it's sizzling to me. Let's do this. So I'm going to put in the meat. I don't know if you're supposed to put a little meat in at a time. Stir it, let it brown. I put it all in at once. So here we are. Our oil is sizzling, of course. I put that all in there, mix it around. I know what this does is it's supposed to sear in the flavor, and it's supposed to allow it to brown, to cook it, to sear it in, to almost like seal it in. Also, I know that flour will help thicken our stew. So once your meat's all brown, you're gonna add in the onions and the garlic. I might have had a little bit of extra spices in there because I chopped them up on the same cutting board, but that's no big deal. Cook this until it is, oh look, there's even a piece of celery in there. Cook this until the onions are translucent. And then we'll go on to the next step. So the directions say, number 3, add the veggies. When onions and garlic have cooked down, add tomato paste. Continue cooking for 2 minutes. So I'm going to take my little container of tomato paste. There, after the 2 minutes, it says to add the rest of the ingredients, and sorry, I don't have my glasses off, so I can't see anything. Add the rest of the ingredients to the pot, including the water. Let simmer on low heat for 2 to 3 hours, stirring occasionally. So I will add the rest of the veggies. I have my sweet potatoes on here cooking. I'm not gonna waste that water. So it calls for 1 or 2 liters, which is 4 cups. I'm going to drain off the broth off the sweet potato. Woo. Which gives me a little over a cup. And then I'm going to add the water to this. I'm going to add all the veggies as well as the water, and then simmer for 2 to 3 hours, stirring occasionally. So the directions say add the rest of the ingredients, so this includes the herbs as well, okay? So I got that in there. Oh, this will simmer down, I'm sure. I'm going to put in 2 cups of water and another 2 cups, which is 4 cups, which is equal to 4 liters. No, it doesn't. 2 cups is 500 mils. So that's 1 liter. 2 more measuring spoons full. Or cup full. Don't worry, I'm not in the public classroom anymore. So I'm not teaching your kids how to do math. So, by the looks of it, I don't have enough room in my pot. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this, let it simmer down, and I will add a little bit more water to it as I need. As you're stirring this in too, make sure you scrape the bottom of the pot to get all that stuff that was cooked on there when you were browning the meat. Make sure you scrape that off as you go. Once the water's in there, it's easier to come off because that's where a lot of your flavor is. It's called something. I don't know what it's called. If you know what it is, put it in the comment. I'm going to turn my heat down to 3. Actually, I'm going to turn it back up to 5. Wait till it comes to a boil, then I'll turn it down to 3 for the 2 to 3 hours. So here it is. It's been simmering. I just have it on. I'm going to put it down, I think, a little bit lower to minimum. It looks really good. Smells really good. The only thing is, I think, knowing my family, I know there's lots of sweet potatoes in here, but there's not that many potatoes. There's not that many dabadat. So I think I'm going to go and peel a couple more and put a couple more in, just because I know my family. So I peeled about 4 more potatoes. I'm going to put them in the pot here. It's been simmering almost an hour, and I'm going to probably put these in. I'm going to take a piece of meat out and check it, see how it tastes. Just doing up some dishes in that. I added 4 more potatoes, but I wanted to try the meat to see how tender it is. I did go back and add that other 2 cups of water. Once it simmered down a little bit, gave me a little bit of room, I did add some more in. So, let's see. Oh my God. Melts in your mouth. Hot, but it's not chewy at all. It's really tender. It's really good. Flavor's awesome. Can't wait to try the whole thing. I'm gonna check it out, see where we're at with these herbs. Oh, pretty hard to see, but plate's warm. They're not dry yet. I think what I'll do is I'll take them out now. I'm going to, yeah. What I'll do is I'll take them out, put them aside right now, preheat my oven so that soon I'm gonna have to make the dumplings, put them on the top, and then put this pot in the oven. So I'll preheat that now. Okay, so my stew's been simmering forever, almost 2 hours, and now I'm gonna make the dumplings. I checked the meat after an hour and it was nice and tender, but I added the 4 extra potatoes, so I want to simmer a little bit longer. So the next steps, maybe that's supposed to be my halo just because I'm such an angel. Anyways, the next steps are to make the dumplings. Place flour, salt, and baking powder in a bowl and mix well. Like I said, I'm not using all-purpose baking powder. Flour, I'm using my gluten-free, the stuff that I get from Amazon. I really like it. I don't even know what the name of it. It's a French name. But of all the gluten-free blends that I've used, I like this the best for like a ratio of 1:1 for anything I'm cooking. Anyways, so it says dumpling ingredients: flour, 1.5 cups. So I got 1/4 cup here measuring, so there's 1/2 cup, 3/4, 1 cup, 1/4, 1.5. Flour, salt, and baking powder in a large bowl. So flour, baking powder, 1 tablespoon. 1/2 tablespoon here, so 2 of these. 1, 2, and the salt, and it calls for 1 tablespoon of salt. That's 1/2, so another one. Mix well. Actually, I got this really cool new thing. I don't know what it's called. I don't know. It's supposed to be good for making like doughs and batters and things like that. Anyways, it's like a whisk, but it's not really. Maybe it's a dough whisk. I don't know what it's called. Anyways, I like it. Mix well. Pour in buttermilk, melted butter, and mashed sweet potato. So Millbrook had put an order in for buttermilk, and for some reason, they didn't get the buttermilk. So I guess, rumor has it, that the business that they ordered through put a replacement in. Instead of buttermilk, they got them eggnog. Yeah, not going to do that. Not going to replace eggnog or buttermilk with eggnog. So what they did is they put an extra piece of paper in telling people how to create the same sort of thing, which is buttermilk. It's kind of like souring your milk, your regular milk, with vinegar. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to get my vinegar and the milk. This is the milk they gave us. Woo, woo, woo. This is the milk they gave us. I'm tempted to replace it with cream, but that's not what they gave me, so I'm going to follow the recipe exactly how they gave it to me, just to make sure. So it says, take 1 cup of milk. God, I feel like a kid again. When you always got milk at school and you could never get the container open right. What the hell? Please tell me I'm not the only one that used to struggle with this in school. How about that? Go to the other side. See if that works. Of course that works. Okay. So 1 cup of milk. says add 1 tablespoon of vinegar, mix thoroughly, use 3/4 cup of the mixture for the recipe. So 1 tablespoon, well, might as well use this. I'll wipe the salt out of it. So vinegar, 1 tablespoon. This is a 1/2 tablespoon, so I need 2 of these. 1, 2, mix thoroughly. Just gonna let that rest for a couple minutes, or a couple seconds I should say, because it will actually kind of curdle up. Put my stuff away. In the meantime, I have taken the sweet potato and I have mashed it. So it says that I need to pour buttermilk, melted butter, and mashed sweet potatoes. In the recipe, I need a 1/2 cup of melted butter. Now I just took this butter out of the fridge, so it is hard. And I got a bowl here. Put it in the bowl, and I'm gonna put it in the microwave to melt it. Buttermilk, melted butter, and mashed sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes, I have 1.5 cups. So I'm gonna put 1.5 cups in there. This is a 1/2 cup. There's 1. Oh, there's a cup. I think it's exactly that much sweet potato. I don't think we have too much to spare. So I guess I'm a little proud of myself for dividing it up the way I divided it up. So I'm going to add my milk, or my buttermilk, which is 3/4. So there's a 1/2, and 1/2 and a 1/2 is a 1/4, so there's 3/4. I'm going to mix this all around, get it going. So there's my 1/2 cup. Mix that up. Now I do know with gluten-free flour, you should let it rest just a couple of minutes or so, because the gluten-free blend sometimes need a couple of minutes to absorb some of the liquid. Oh, these look kind of cool though. I really like this. Okay, so here's my mixture. I let it set for a little bit. It's kind of wet, but I think that's what the dumplings are supposed to look like. So in the recipe it says take about a golf ball size. So I have this like little ladle, and I'm just gonna drop them in with this, about that size, on top. Okay, so I mixed it up. I'm gonna take about this much, plop it on. Golf ball size, he said. Maybe I'll go a little bit bigger. Hard to do one-handed. Okay. I think I'm going to put the camera down and do this by myself. So we have a little bit of a problem. My pot is not big enough. So I'm going to take a little bit of the liquid off the top. As you can see, I tried to put the dumplings in, it's coming out the top. The only reason why I want to take the liquid off is because it says to cover the dumplings and let them cook for like 5 minutes. So I'm going to take enough liquid off right here. And I turned the heat up just a little bit on underneath the stew. I turned it up to about a 4 because it was just on simmer, right? I had a different cover to this pot. I put one so I could see through it, a glass one. And it says to let cook for 5 minutes, boil for 5 minutes. So I'm just going to leave that there. I end up taking a whole bowl out, and it still is overflowing. So 5 minutes, and then I'll put it in the oven. So it's in there, it's bubbling over, and I'm going to clean up the mess. So my timer's going to go off any second here. There we go. Look at that. I'm going to stop my timer. It was in the oven for 10 minutes. I'm going to take it out. Ooh, hot. Oh, baby hot. Holy smoke. Look at that. Take the cover off. Get down to the bottom, make sure I get some meat and potatoes. That's all I'm going to take out of here right now. Waited all day for this. It's hot. It looks like it's hot as hell. I've never been to hell, but this is what I imagined it being. So I'm going to let this cool down a little bit, and then I'll let you know how it tastes. So as I wait for this to cool, I'm going to turn my oven back down, and I'm going to prop it open. I'm going to put these back in. The herbs back in. Like I said, I'm going to prop it open like this and let it go. Once the temperature gets down a little bit, then I'll check on them. I might leave them overnight and check on them tomorrow morning. Here we are. It's still hot as hell. I put it in the fridge for a couple seconds. Didn't do it any good. I'm going to still try it. So first thing I'm going to try are the dumplings. They're good. Don't be offended because I said they're good. I'm not a fan of dumplings. Dumplings are just too wet for me. But they remind me of what my grandmother used to make. They're not doughy in the middle. But I think what I don't like about dumplings is the wetness on the outside. So, other than that, let's try the meat. Oh, hot. Tender. Oh my God, it's tender. No wild taste to it. So honest to God, if I didn't know that this was deer meat that they gave me, I would never, ever, ever know the difference. And those recipes that they have, right, I got a couple of the other ones too. It says at the bottom, feel free to swap out venison for beef. So if you don't have moose or deer or anything like that, you can use beef for them. But they're good. The potatoes are really hot. Cooked. Carrots, there's celery. It's a really good sweet potatoes. Yeah, they're good. It's a really, really good cold day supper. I'm glad I made it on a cold day like today, because Monday is supposed to be plus 13. Anyways, hot. I think I'm going to leave this for a little bit, let it cool down a little bit more. I might enjoy it better. But other than that, I give it a 10 out of 10. It was easy to do. The directions were great. The flavor is awesome. And yeah, I think for those people that kind of stay away from wild game because they don't know how to cook it or they don't feel comfortable cooking it, I think this is an amazing way to get your feet wet and to be able to cook something like this. All right, I'll see you guys later. So I ended up leaving these in the oven overnight to dry out, and as you can tell and listen or hear, they're dry. The rosemary's dry, parsley, sage. So what I have is mason jars that I will just put this stuff in, put the mason jar on, and then when I go to use it, I just take it out of there, and there's my fresh herbs.